Hi folks, John Henning here. I am a franchise consultant located outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've been in the franchise industry for quite a few years. I used to sell franchises for AMCO Transmissions Corporate Direct based in Horsham, Pennsylvania. And then I branched out and started doing franchise consulting here about 2.5 years ago. And I opened up a franchise showroom. We own a franchise website. Actually, I own a couple hundred franchise websites. And so I work with a lot of clients all over the country, not just local, but I work with a lot of folks via the phone and the internet. And I get asked a lot of questions. Number one question I get asked is, how much do franchises cost? Number two question I get asked is, how much can I make? Of course, right? That's an important question. And then the other question I get asked a lot, and this is a surprising question, I guess, depending on how you look at it, but is, what is the best franchise? So I'll go through a process with a client and take them through identifying which franchise might be the best fit for what they look for. And at the end of that process, they'll ask me invariably, John, what do you think the best franchise out there is? And when I answer them, sometimes they really get it and sometimes they don't, but the answer really is, I can't tell you what is the best franchise for you, right? All I can do is take the criteria that you've told me for the business model that you want to own and match that up with the franchises that are out there that fit those criteria and see if it's a match in both directions. See, a lot of people think when they buy a franchise that they're the only ones that make a decision, and that isn't the case. The franchisor does the same type of due diligence process on the candidate to see if they're the right type of fit for the franchise too, right? Because they're going to be out there representing their brand and, carrying the torch and talking to customers on their behalf and all of that type of stuff and following their system and using their sign and phone numbers and all of that stuff. So it's important to know that what is the best franchise really is dependent upon the criteria. For example, if someone comes to me looking for a retail franchise that has no employees, that costs about $200,000, that they can make X amount of dollars per year, that requires a retail location, that has decent rent, I take all of those criteria and then I match them up to which franchises fit those criteria. So in that case, a retail franchise is the best one for them, right? I know why folks ask the question. They want to know what's hot, what's big, but I always say stay away from fad type franchises, right? If that's what you mean by what is the best franchise, then stay away from that, because fads, as you know, are short-lived. They might come back later like some of those funny looking pants are right now, but the point is they're not here to stay, right? So stay away from fad franchises if that's what you mean by best franchise. But if by best franchise you mean which one is the best for you, then that's what we do, is we take you through a process and help you identify which franchise is the best fit for the business model. Now, I get a lot of folks that come to me and they think they're interested in a food franchise. A lot of people think that a food franchise is the best franchise because that's what they see. It's nothing bad. It's just that's who does the marketing. That's what you see on the high traffic streets, and that's where you see people pulling into and out of all the time. Nothing against food franchises. I work with about 75 of them, but unfortunately, food franchises in a lot of cases are not the best franchise for a certain client. In some cases they are, certainly, but in a lot of cases they're not. And people will come to me thinking they want to own a food franchise. Then I'll spend all the time, and I do this all the time, no charge. I'll go through what does it take to own a food franchise? How many hours are you going to work? What kind of credit do you need? What's the cash investment? How many employees are you going to be working with? What about the inventory costs and food loss? And we go through all of this. You have to pay for A+ retail type space, prime real estate costs. You start to get into those things, and it's surprising how many times folks come back to me and said, I guess that isn't the best franchise for me. And then they really get it. And that's kind of the purpose of this video, is just to tell you to keep your options open. Don't get pigeonholed into one type of business. And if you're interested in talking to a franchise expert, please feel free to give me a call. My direct phone number is 610-326-0182. You can also visit my website at UnitedFranchiseConnection.com. I also own OpenAFranchise.com. 610-326-0182 is my direct phone number. Thank you and happy hunting.